What's going on, everyone? We are back. The Lethal Collective is back. Got a ton of stuff to talk about today. Obviously, Scream 6. We got Texas Chainsaw Massacre. We got Halloween Ends and many more. So be sure to stay tuned. You may notice today that we're missing someone. Craven Something Scary is not here today. I'm sick of the stew train. So he's in timeout. He is in the corner until he's done with the stew train. And that's where he will stay. So hopefully that train derails and then he can come back to the collective. But in the meantime, no more stew talk. I needed a break.
Well, I guess I'm just gonna have to keep the stew argument alive then.
I knew someone would have to.
I guess Jake isn't gonna be here next week either. It's just gonna be me and Knight.
People are gonna be dropping like flies.
Yeah, I guess this is gonna be
hashtag Stu is alive. That's all I gotta say to that.
This is gonna be the Lethal Collective is gonna be changed to Night Decided.
I like that. That's got a good ring to it. I love that.
That being said, Craven had some stuff to take care of today, so he is going to be in the next one. Hopefully the stew train derails, but in the meantime, Scream 6 right off the bat. Let's jump into that because we even have people in the comments already asking us about it.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good place to start. What is your guys' opinion? Knight, I'll start with you. What's your thoughts on Scream 6?
Well, I think we pretty much knew it was going to happen. All of us predicted that Scream 5 would do well. I mean, I think it's at like 106, 107 million worldwide right now. So it's pretty much what we thought was going to happen. But it's great to actually get that verification that it's greenlit. So yeah, I'm excited, man. I got to admit, I'm almost as excited about this than I was with Scream 5 because now with 6, I think they really can go anywhere. So it's going to be a nice thing to go through.
They're making a Scream 6? Why are they doing that? I'm just kidding. No, I'm kidding.
You toxic fan.
You're right. God, that last one sucked. No, I'm kidding. I loved Scream 5. I love the creative team behind it, and I'm so glad it's the same people coming back to do this one. I got the news at work, and I had like 4 more hours of my shift at my dumb part-time job, and I was like begging my boss, can I please go home? Please? Like, I want to talk about this so bad. I'm so excited. I'm literally so excited. Right. For Scream 6. I'm pumped. And once again, something I want to reiterate is like it's the same team doing it. If it was anybody else, if they just decided to throw this team off into the side and it was like some random other director, I would have very, very little faith in this project. Just because it's like you can't just restart at this point. You can't just restart everything that you've already built. You have to continue the Sam and Tara story, however they're going to do that, whatever. But like if you have a different creative team, they're going to take it in a totally different direction than Radio Silence was going to. And that would suck, man. That's exactly what happened with the new Star Wars movies. And in my opinions, those are just fine. They're just okay. I do want to real quickly respond to a comment, and then Fate, it's all you again. I see Jake Schubert said, I'd love to hear your thoughts on Leslie Macher and Christina Carpenter, which is actually a really good question. We should probably go around and talk about that because that's a really good. Are they going to deal with that in Scream 6? I say. I'm almost kind of on the fence about that. I like the idea of them being kind of in the background characters. Like we know Christina Carpenter, we know a lot about her, but like, is she going to play a main role in Scream 6? I don't know. Like, I feel like it's almost better to keep that mystery alive of like, she's someone that had in a fun encounter with Billy Loomis, to keep it bleak. And, do we want to know more about that? Are we going to dive more into that? Is that going to be a main focus in the next film? Since a lot hashtag cancel Fate. That's great. Is that going to be a main focus in Scream 6 though? With because like that's something a lot of people didn't love about this new movie was Force Ghost Billy. So like, are we going to continue that into the next movie? I don't know. That's a weird thing to put a focal point on. I would say I would like to know a little more about like Stu's family though, since he's coming back.
Yeah.
I'm looking at you, Tyler.
You can see the steam coming out of his head. It's like, never forget, Fate. Never forget.
It's all right. I mean, hey, just keep being wrong. It's okay. It's all right. It's just sad that I have to constantly be the only one on this thing that is always right. But hey, somebody's got to do that. But as far as Scream 6, of course, I'm excited. Obviously, from a fan perspective, and then from a content creator perspective, since Scream is like 98% of what I talk about, so course, like that's just easy content now from a creative perspective. Gives us ammunition here on the collective as well to dive into theories and ideas and thoughts ourselves. I mean, we all knew it was coming. I mean, we were talking about it when we first started talking about Scream 5, that Scream 6 was likely going to have, if the movie was half decent, it would. So I definitely think that there's a lot of directions in which they could go with Scream 6, and I'm really excited to see which direction they decide to go, because this is they don't have to try to make things fit that never really fit to begin with. They don't have to try to this was a gap film in many cases. Like, this was connecting the past and the current, and now they can just go tell their own film. As far as like the sister and the parents and stuff like that, I'm curious. I even did a video on Fate Decided the other day about Martha Meeks potentially getting a bigger role. Because the Meeks twins, they survived and stuff like that, so it would make more sense to have her have a bigger part. The problem with Scream though is parents. Like, there's never this entire town of Woodsboro just has parents that just leave their kids alone at
vacay.
Weeks in on times. Like, that's always been one of the things that have bothered me the most about Scream. Not that like you have to incorporate the parents, heavily, but a little bit. Have a couple. Don't mess with baby as the first draft. That's great. I am facts. But,
gotta see the high school picture of that, man. You'd be like,
most likely to debate. That was my tag.
Debate decided.
Yeah, debate decided.
All right, I love it.
I should create a debate channel. But overall, I'm curious to see how they incorporate, like the parents and things like that, and if they even do that, or if they just kind of go their own direction. But this kind of transitions perfectly into something that I wanted to talk to you guys about today. I made a video on it. Should Sydney return? And like, before I let you guys answer, I feel like it's a real discussion, because right now they established in Scream 5 sort of a clean break from Sydney. She's got her family. She's got her husband. The only reason she returned was because of Dewey. So she wanted nothing to do with Ghostface until Dewey died. And then once he died, then it was like, okay, I need to go and avenge him. So I feel like they have their established characters. They have everything. Dude, you guys are awesome. They have their established they have their established everything, and they really, I think they're in a perfect position to now transition and start fresh. Now, Gail, I have a video posting later today. It's already scheduled on Gail returning. She makes more sense because of her character. She's the reporter. I mean, even she returned because she said her network thought this would be great for the show type thing. So she's an easy sort of plug-in. But Sydney is hard, and I don't want them personally trying to create a narrative that doesn't work, because there's no real reason for her to be involved, or them going backwards and making it sort of center around her when, it's like now you're just rehashing the old films. Like, I would rather personally have them just cut ties, break even, do Scream 6, do their own movie with their own characters, tell their own story. We'll finally get to see what Radio Silence is made of, as far as like creating their own Scream film. That's why I think Scream 6 has potential to be so much better than Scream 5, because now that there's no ties. And I just think they just clean break, cut the ties, do their own film. And then if, in Scream 7 or whatever, you want to have a nice little Nev cameo to wrap up the trilogy or something, that makes sense. But I just don't think you can go from, Sydney having an intricate part at the end to just her maybe having a brief cameo. My only suggestion that I made in the video was it would be cool to see her maybe like a brief scene with her happy with her family. Like maybe she doesn't even have dialogue or anything. It's just like a scene of her at home with her kids, with her husband, and that kind of establishes like, okay, she is happy. Let her go be happy type thing. What are your thoughts, Knight?
Oh man, I'm conflicted. I'm really conflicted because Nev already said she wants to come back. Radio Silence has already said they want her back. So to me, if she's going to come back and in theory have less screen time than she had in Scream 5, it doesn't make any sense to me. And I'd almost be surprised if she'd want to do that. I agree that at some point we got to cut those ties, and we've talked about that too in preparation for Scream 5. They could do it here, but from everything that we've been hearing, she's on board for the next movie, and they're on board for having her. So I'm wondering if instead of having less screen time, they might actually have her more, have her character have some more weight in the story. I don't know how, that's a whole nother story as far as theory crafting, but I love Nev Campbell and I love the character of Sydney. I really could go either way, not having her would open up everything, and I'd be very excited for that. But it just doesn't look like that's going to happen. It really doesn't. I don't know what you guys think, but according to what she's saying and what they're saying, she's ready to come back to Woodsboro. And I think maybe, I don't know, you guys might, but if there was like some type of loose game plan to like take the OG3 and let them have each movie kind of give them a little weight each movie, okay, then I understand that, because obviously Dewey had the weight in this movie. You know what I'm saying? So maybe that's what they're gonna do, or I don't know, but it looks like she's gonna be in it, and I'd be damn surprised if she's gonna have less weight or less screen time than she had in Scream 5. So
I think that yeah, she's definitely coming back, but my thing is execution is everything. I think that if they make a movie that is a year later and we go back to Woodsboro and we follow some of the same characters like Sam, Tara, the Meeks twins, like why would Sydney be there at this point? Why would Sydney or Gail be in this movie? I think if they make a movie though that is a direct continuation from Scream 5, like let's say the movie starts with Tara and Sam in the ambulance driving to the hospital and Ghostface attacks them when they get out, like what happens then? Where does the story go from there? Sydney and Gail are still in Woodsboro. They have to be a part of the story now if there's still more Ghostface killers on the loose. That would be interesting to me. That I would be really interested in seeing. But if they do a movie that's like a year later and like Tara's in college and all that, why is Sidney Prescott there, man? I love, and no disrespect to Nev Campbell or Courtney Cox, they make those movies so good. I mean, you can't even deny that at all. But my biggest thing is like writing her into a script where she's not necessary would be kind of odd. There's already been complaints about like people saying that the OG3 really didn't have a lot to do in this new movie, but I kind of disagree with that. I mean, they were really important to the third act, but they weren't as important or the focal point this time around, which I guess was some people's complaints. But once again, I'm just excited to be following new characters and good characters too. Like Melissa Barrera, I'm sure will have a lot more time to shine in this new movie now that they're kind of starting to figure out her character a little more. And it's going to be the same characters. Like I already said this, but like if they restart with new characters again, what the heck? What are you doing? Like, don't do that. There's no point in doing that at this point. Let's continue the Sam and Tara story and see where that goes. Because there's still a lot you could do with that. There's still like she's Billy Loomis's daughter.
Right.
There's so much you can talk about there. What's the Macher family up to? Who else is part of their clan? Are they upset about Vince dying? I want to know. That would be kind of cool. But
there are a lot of directions they can go for sure.
Exactly. But the biggest thing is if she doesn't come back, it's not going to be the end of the world, I don't think. If they make a movie that's a year later and she's not in the next film, I feel like it would be kind of weird at this point, especially because Nev Campbell expressed interest. So I definitely see her coming back. But I don't think I would mind a new Scream film without them, as long as it had good characters. Because something I preach on my page is that one of the most underrated things about the Scream films is their characters. The characters are always likable across the board in all 5 films. That's something they have to bring to Scream 6 as well, if they're going to continue that, especially without the legacy characters.
Yeah, I agree. I think it, obviously if Nev wants to come back, she's coming back. You don't tell Nev Campbell. Like I think it was Blucka that had the thing on a cross that came across where he said, doesn't Nev get to dictate that? He's right. I mean, it's the case. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, I mean, if she wants to come back, you bring her back. It comes down to what the overall story is. Like you said, Jake, execution is everything. If Nev is I don't want them to go backwards is my point. Like, I don't want them, Nev say, I'm in, write it, you know, because there's already talks that she's already in negotiations, that she's one of the first people they're talking to, which makes sense because
Right.
you want to establish, do we have her or not? Because that dictates which direction you go.
That's
So
right.
based on her answer, if she wants to come on board, of course you bring her on. I just don't. It's a tricky spot to be in because you don't want to have Nev in the film just for the sake of having her in the film. She has to have some significance in the Ghostface plot, right? Because that's why we want to see. We want to see her be the badass Sydney Prescott that she is. We don't want to see her as just like the therapist at the high school now. That's like, yeah, everyone, that was great. You know, like you know, we want to see her, you know, get involved. And it's just like at this point, how do you get her involved? I mean, obviously that's the job of the writers. You know, that's their job to figure that out. But it's just like the only reason she got involved in the first place in Scream 5 was because of Dewey. So it's like there's no more Dewey. So now do you kill Gale? What route do you go?
I don't want to go down that route like the Star Wars sequel. Exactly. You know, every movie we lose a legacy character. You know,
and we don't need to do that with every single franchise.
Right.
You know?
I think we've learned our lesson from Star Wars. I hope so.
Well, if this film, like, so the thing is though, is that because there's going to be such a short gap between, you know, Scream 5 and Scream 6. Like maybe it does pick up, say, a month or so later. Maybe it connects. Maybe they directly tie it in. Maybe there was a third killer or something like that, and that's why Nev gets involved because she's like, you know, Sydney. I mean, gets involved because she's like, it wasn't over. I thought it was over. It's not over. I still need to do, you know, whatever. I don't know. Like, but if there isn't a large gap, because like you said, Jake, if this takes place a year later, it's like, what's the point? I believe it was it was Blicka Blicka in my live stream yesterday. He actually made an interesting suggestion that was how Gail said she wanted to write a book about Dewey. Like what happens if she stayed, like Gail stayed in Woodsboro to write the book, and then I also added on, well, Dewey in the extended cut of Scream 4, Dewey suggested why doesn't Sydney and Gail write the book together? So what if they're in Woodsboro writing the book together about Dewey, and then that sort of becomes the story?
They could go to like his trailer or whatever, be like checking out his place and like kind of reminiscing about him. I can understand that.
As they're trying to do this book, boom, Ghostface comes in, and now they're kind of just thrusted into this whirlwind type thing. Another suggestion was also.
I'll say that's a bit of a stretch, though. You know,
I mean, it is a little bit, but But the other suggestion, which I thought was kind of cool, was you know, maybe a Dewey memorial. I had somebody in the comment section that said, you know, what about a Dewey memorial? You know, a month or so later, a couple months later, and Sydney
that's kind of the same thing that from the last movie, though. You know, they came to Woodsboro. But
that's my point. It's like, how many options do you have to incorporate Sydney? Gail makes perfect sense.
Right. Well, obvious. I mean, and I don't know. You guys let me know, but I think really the only way that that it would work, one, is that if it's a short gap between the movies, like, you know, like you were saying, Jake, she's still in Woodsboro, and it makes sense because she doesn't leave and have to have a reason, you know, to come back. So the time jump has to be minimal, if at all, right?
Yeah.
And I hate to say it, Fate, but if she's in it and we assume, and I'm just assuming, I could be totally wrong, but if we're assuming she has at least as much weight as she did in Scream 5 or more, you know, which I think is, you know, I would think she'd have a little bit more.
You have to if you have her, you know, you got to have her.
Then either one of two ways it's got to go. Either something with Sam and Tara that, you know, Sydney obviously still has a connection with them, or like you're fretting, they got to have something from the past, or somehow we find out, like you said, maybe a third killer, mastermind, whatever. Those are like the only ways I could see her working in this movie, at least now, right unscripted, you know?
Yeah. I'm gonna say something, and I hate saying this, but I could see it happening. So again, I have to be honest. If they go the Stu route, that's an easy way to get her back. I hate even having to say that.
If only Steven was here.
Why did I not record this? Oh wait, this is
not gonna. I'm not saying it's gonna happen. It makes no sense.
Someone clip this. Clip this moment.
It happened.
No, hey, look. Believe me, I'm not on the street trade. Stu is not coming back. But
But if he did,
one of the big things we've talked about is fan service. And we are in the age of fan service. We've talked about that. It's true. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. But
did you read Denisha?
I decided you get new subscribers, almost 6,000. Big deal. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I know. My subscriber count just skyrocketed probably. Like, he's here.
You go back to your channel, you have like 100K. You're like, what?
I would love
and then all of a sudden your first video will be like, yeah.
If I was on the Stu trade, I would probably have at least 1,000 more subscribers. I swear. It's not even an exaggeration. I probably would. But I want to clarify. I absolutely hate the idea of Stu coming back. It's a terrible idea. It makes no sense. But if they try to find a way to make him come back and they really do go that route, well, then that's an easy way to get Sydney back because, you have the big showdown. She's only returning because she finds out Stu's still alive, whatever the case would be. I think it's absolutely stupid, but it's something that could happen if they went that route. Again, I don't think that's going to happen, but it's definitely something. No, I'm not on the.
I don't know, man. You're sounding kind of sus, bro. No, but listen, I'll be honest with you, man. Like, honestly, I wouldn't mind it just because like they already retconned stuff in Scream 5 to make some of that stuff work. Yeah, so like if they retcon some stuff from the past, which I know a lot of people would have a problem with immediately. Yes. It could work. You know what I mean? Like you could just film a scene real quick with Matthew Lillard where he escapes at the end of the original Scream. That, like I said, very controversial, very polarizing to fans, but I wouldn't put it past these new movies, Like they got to do something crazy and along those lines. And like, why did they they put that in the movie for a reason. The whole, is Stu Macher still alive? Oh, the real Stu.
They talked about it in interviews. They said that this thing has exact fandom. It's about the toxic fandom. This whole movie was about fandom and conspiracies and toxic fandom.
That's such a hidden Easter egg, man. You got to look for that. You got to look for that. They're saying something. Real quickly. So there's a chance.
So you're saying there's a chance.
I hate all of you.
So funny. I'll say one more thing because, once again, I'm right in the middle with the Stu thing. I like to joke around and be like, "Oh, it's definitely happening." But the biggest thing about why I think it's going to happen, like I said, not necessarily it's not a thing I really want to see. It's not something I'm really against. But I think it's going to happen because, once again, we're in the golden age of fan service. The other thing, probably the biggest thing I want to bring up is the fact that look at Halloween 2018. There are little tiny throwaway lines that set up things for Halloween Kills. Like the dude who's running around through Halloween Kills and ends up jumping out of the window at the hospital. He's in the very beginning scene of Halloween 2018, and they briefly mention him. One little exchange between Aaron and Dr. Sartain. So are they doing the same thing with Scream 2022, where it's this little tiny hidden Easter egg that you would totally miss the first time you watched it? Is that going to come back to be something massive in the next film? Like I said, I can see it happening. I don't know if that's the route they're going to take, though. I wouldn't be against it, though.
My problem is why that type of setup? If they were going to set up Stu returning in a future film, whether it's 6 or whatever, you would think that it wouldn't be a conspiracy. Did Stu survive type thing? It would be something concrete that we know, because there would be public information that Stu survived. That's my biggest thing. And even me and Craven had the debate. My biggest thing is that all the theories, even his theories, are all stipulating that no one knew that he survived. It makes no logical sense.
There's also go ahead, Knight. Sorry, I've been talking.
This isn't 1970.
Right?
Well, it was in 1996 though when it happened, though. Don't forget.
Yes, but there was still technology. There was still fingerprinting. There was still all kinds of stuff. There was huge.
Sure, but it's not like today where there's a camera everywhere. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You can't go in the public without being filmed. In '96, totally different story.
If he would need medical attention. There's no way he's running in the wilderness and surviving.
Yeah, you're right.
So he's going to have to go to the hospital, which means that there are records of him either living or dying, whatever the case may be.
What is
and then he's going to a penitentiary, and he's going to end up triple life. How do you? but Richard Pryor.
He knows.
Go sit down. You're supposed to be busy, Craven. No one has time for you. Damn it.
Choo
Get
choo.
rid of him. Get rid of him. But my point is, because that's my biggest complaint with like Craven's argument, with everyone's argument that I've seen. It's all stipulating on this like crazy circumstances happening. It's unrealistic. Like now you're getting away from what Scream is inherently, which is realism. I love the realism of Scream. And if they could come up with a realistic way, like say he was in prison, it was public record, and he just got released, whatever the case may be, and they can kind of like piece it together through flashbacks or something like that, then maybe. But overall, there has to be some believability to it. You can't just say, here he is.
I think what they could do, and of course, we always have to suspend disbelief with a lot of this stuff, anyways. Just like the different killers and their real height and all that type of stuff. But if they sit there and say, hey, he was put in a loony bin or whatever, yada yada yada. I mean, let's be real, man. I don't think anyone's sitting there counting the days that he's been incarcerated. You know what I mean? Like at some point, you just move on, or I'm just saying this is one way that they could kind of like flub it over. Like, and I think that would be good enough movie logic. I'm not saying that it's great, but I'm just saying if they're going to go that route, like you said, Fate, they've got to explain, well, where has he been at the whole time?
Yeah.
How come he was
from A to Z?
Right. And how come he was never mentioned? But again, like if he was, put in the loony bin, they threw away the key and so forth and so forth, there's no reason to really talk about him anymore. It's different. It's different. Well, I don't want to say it's different because I was going to say, like someone like Michael Myers versus Stu, but anyways, like I said, I think that they'll probably write it that way. Somehow just make it seem like nobody talked about him. Nobody cared. He was old news. He killed a couple of people. He was crazy. They threw him, locked him away and threw away the key.
I'll say this because if we could talk about Stu all night. So
that's true. Yeah.
I'll throw in one more thing.
Down.
One more thing I will say about that is like in Kevin Williamson's original Scream 3 pitch, that was the idea. Like we brought that up multiple times before.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean, I could see it as a way of honoring Wes Craven to like try to recreate his original plan for the trilogy. I could see that happening. But if that's not the case, like if they don't end up doing it, it's not going to break my heart, honestly. It would be cool to see Matthew Lillard back. I love Matthew Lillard. He's fucking awesome. Yeah. But like at the same time, it's not going to break my heart if they don't do that in Scream 6 or potentially Scream 7 if Radio Silence makes this a trilogy. Now, last thoughts on Scream 6, because I do kind of want to talk about Texas Chainsaw. I'm very excited for that coming in 2 weeks. Do you guys, two questions real quick. Do you guys think that it's going to be coming in 2023 since they're starting production this summer? And do you think it will be better than Scream 5? Fate, go nuts.
Yes. So first off, yes. I do think that this has the potential to be the better of Scream 5 and 6. I definitely do. I think it will come out in 23. I think it just depends. As long as everything's smooth sailings, I could see them releasing it January 23 because they said that they're going to start filming in summer. So let's say June, so they'll be finished filming by like August, September. And then that gives them, a couple months to get it out. I would, however, personally, I wouldn't mind if they waited till like January 24 or like, the end of, 23 just to, get the marketing and everything down, like really take the time to pump this out. Because the difference between this and Halloween Ends is Halloween Ends was already ready to go. They already had everyone signed up. They already had everything to go. Because I've had people suggest that like, oh, well, Halloween Ends is coming out and they just started filming. And I'm like, yeah, but they had already, this was already planned. They announced the trilogy when they announced 18. So I was like, they already had the story. They already had everything lined up, all the characters on board, everything. They're just adding maybe, Sarah Michelle Gellar might be, coming back or might be coming, not back, but in the film, that kind of thing. So now they're just doing the add-on. So it's easy for them to pump it out in October. Where Scream, they are literally have to write, do everything. They might have some of the story and idea in which they go, but they got to get all the like they're literally starting from scratch. So
Right.
I don't want them to force it for the sake of just forcing it, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I
And
agree.
and there's one thing that I quickly wanted to add. And Knight, you could cover them all, and then Jake, you could just tag on at the end, and then we can transition. But do you think that they'll re-release Scream 5 in theaters when all of them open back up?
What do you mean?
So
Ooh.
like right now, all the theaters, there's
Are
tons of theaters that are
all
closed
over.
down.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh,
So
like when
we're
the
getting
theaters
it. We're
are
getting it
opening
for
back up.
Paramount
Yeah.
Plus.
Yeah.
We're getting the Paramount Plus release and all that stuff. Do you think that Scream 5, like say in May or something like that, if everything's open back up, they might re-release it to those theaters that never got the opportunity, or maybe do a run, or do you think they'll just leave it as Paramount Plus?
If it wasn't going to Paramount Plus, I'd say yes. But because it's going
Mhm.
there, what, like March 1st? Is that what it is? I want to say
February 28th.
Yeah,
February
February 28th. Yeah,
28th.
28th.
Ooh. That was a
The
day
movie,
off.
the DVD is supposed to come out March 1st, I believe.
That's what. Okay.
Yeah.
No. April something.
Or
April
is it
4th
April
or
1st?
something.
Maybe it's
Yeah.
April 1st.
That'd be funny if it was April 1st and
Yeah.
it just didn't come out. No.
Surprise.
I would say right. I would say yes. If I would say yes if it wasn't going to Paramount Plus, but because it's going there, probably not. And that sucks because I know a lot of people in Canada were unable to see the film
Exactly.
in theaters,
Correct.
which man,
Yeah.
that's a shame. That really sucks. So Knight, I'll let you take the floor though.
But it also, yeah, I mean, I agree with you because I think if it didn't come out on Paramount, then, that would have been a whole different story. But that also speaks to how well this movie did. I
Mhm.
mean, still getting over 100, and it's still going, so getting over 100, 106, $107 million, that is kick ass, man. So I'm really excited about what this means for the franchise. But I think that there's a chance. I got this feeling that not that they're going to rush it, but I got this feeling that they're thinking, hey, let's just hit the ground running. Let's get this thing
Ugh.
going. Personally speaking, I agree. I think they should wait a little bit longer, late 2023, something like that. Get time for it to ramp up the marketing, the other thing too, and it's just maybe for me as a fan, I also want to miss things a little bit too. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
if I get to the point where the next one comes out so quickly, not that I'm not going to see it, but I don't get a chance to really miss it, And I think, and I know that business wise, they'll probably think differently, but if it were me, I'd like it to be at least late 2023, at least. And that's like you were saying, Fate, as long as everything goes well with the filming and the pandemic and all that type of stuff, that's a whole nother story. But yeah, I'd like to see it come late 2023 if it were up to me, even early 2024,
That's what I'm
there's
saying.
no
Like,
rush.
I
There's
think
no
the
rush.
January release
Yeah.
really helped Scream. And so
Yes. Yeah.
I feel like
No competition.
if you're gonna
Yeah.
rush, and because I think they realize that too. So I think
Yeah.
that if they can, they're gonna release it 23 January. But
Yeah.
I would rather them get it right. Don't because
Yeah.
you have a real opportunity here to continue this franchise and make several movies, even if you want, or you have a chance to just lose everybody. And
That's
I would
right.
rather them take the time to gain that audience, gain that fandom, and get it right, and just say, you know what, we're going to release it January 24, and then now you have an extra 6 months or whatever to really hype up the marketing, which they did fantastic. So yeah.
Yep. I agree. I totally agree.
I'll say one thing. I see a lot of people in the chat saying, "Oh, they got to release it in January because it was so successful." It was so successful in January for a few reasons. It came out on a holiday weekend and there was no competition. That's why that's and also because of the awesome marketing campaign and like it was just a great movie in general. There's that as well, but the best time to
And the
release this-
pandemic.
and the pandemic, yeah. No, there's definitely that as well. My thing though is I feel like they should just release this like maybe in October, man. I mean, like, there's not going to be a new Halloween film. Blumhouse might have their new Exorcist movie come out, but I'm going to be honest, I don't think too many people are going to get excited for that as they will with a new Scream or Halloween. I'm very, very on the fence, leaning towards not interested with the new Exorcist movie from Blumhouse.
Man.
Just saying that is like,
Right?
That's
It
such
just
a
seems
not a
wrong.
good idea, dude.
Well,
What?
even the
Yeah.
story sounds stupid. Have you seen the story?
Yeah, I read
Yes.
about
for
how
it?
they're bringing back 98-year-old I can't remember the actress's name, Ellen Bernstein,
Ellen
for
Bernstein,
yeah.
for this movie, and it's like,
It's like,
dude,
oh
what?
man, come
That does
on.
not that doesn't work with The Exorcist, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a one and done film franchise for me, even though 3 is pretty good.
3 is awesome.
3 is pretty. That
Yes,
jump scare
yes.
at the end, man.
Woo.
Fuck, that's scary. But moving forward past this. Oh, and one more thing. Honestly, yeah, I concur with you guys. I think Scream 6 is going to be a better film just because they don't have to be as restrictive. Like, they even talked in
Right.
interviews about, like, they put all their ideas into this and they tried to make it work because they thought this was going to be their only chance to make
Yeah.
a Scream film. So they're like, well, let's put all that in there. This new movie is going to be a little more relaxed and a little more confident because they don't have to impress people anymore. This is like just their time to
Right.
shine. So, in my opinion, I think Scream 6 is going to be an even better movie.
Well,
But
and real quick, they'll be able to also
Yeah.
correct. They'll also be able to correct a lot of the things that people didn't like about Scream 5. Like, I
Yeah.
think a lot of
Right.
things that I think like the pace and just the brutality and stuff like that. I think that will continue in Scream 6 because that's just radio silence. But I think that like a lot of the issues that people had with Scream 5, a lot of things that people didn't like, they'll be able to correct in Scream 6 because now they'll have the opportunity to make their own film.
just don't
Yeah.
overdo that, though, because once again, comparing this to Star Wars, that's kind of what they did with Episode 8, and it's way worse than
Yes.
7, man.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
In my
No,
opinion.
yeah.
I don't want them to second guess themselves too much,
Right.
you know, because
Right.
they're talented filmmakers. And if you get to the point where you start listening to this person, that person, you know, even us, you know, it's like go with your heart, go with
Go make your movie.
go make your movie and let's
Mhm.
just see what happens. You know, I hope that's the way that it goes. I really do.
Yeah, yeah. So
But
getting
let's
into
transition.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre,
Yes.
though, which comes out in
Yeah.
not exactly 2 weeks. Is it 2 weeks? Yeah.
It is
the
2
eight-
weeks.
The
What's
18th,
today?
right?
February 18th. Yep.
Yeah, that's 2 weeks away. 2 weeks away from a new Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. I'm
Yeah.
personally very, very excited for it, and I was not until I saw this new trailer.
That's
So-
right.
Yeah, yeah. So what did you guys think of the new trailer? I'm curious.
I'm gonna tell you what, and we talked about this a little bit when we talked about upcoming horror. I was really kind of like, oh man, you know, the franchise has been peaks and valleys, ups and downs. You know, the original obviously is a classic. I always thought that the remake was a very good movie. And there's been some other ones in there here and there that I've enjoyed too. But when I saw the trailer, the puzzle started coming together a little bit more for me, and I started to see the possibilities for, at least if nothing else, some nice gore and kills, maybe some nice, you know, cinematography. And personally speaking, and I talked about this on my channel, and I know this is a little divisive for people, but I'm happy to see Sally come back into the mythology. You know, I'm happy about it. Now, granted, they've got to do her right. You know, they've got to write the character correctly. They got to show the respect to the character.
It's a different actress too, though.
Yeah, it's a different actress.
the girl
Owen
from
Forey.
From Mandy. If you guys saw Mandy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So, and Jesus, man, look at this. She looks just like Marilyn Burns, man. This is crazy stuff.
They did a good job.
They really did. So if they treat the character correctly, I'm going to be just ecstatic. So I can honestly say I'm a lot more excited about it than I was previously before seeing the trailer.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, I still have my reservations, if I'm being honest. I still don't really like the plot of the film. I think it's kind of silly. Like, it's a ghost town.
It's so similar to Texas 3D too. Texas
Yeah,
Chainsaw
it's just-
3D, which is like that worries me still.
It is. Like, if I'm being honest, I definitely have my reservations, but this trailer gave me a little more confidence. Like Knight said, worst case scenario, it's, you know, just a good gore fest. Maybe we get some quality kills, stuff like that. I do like the scene on the party bus or whatever it looks like. Where it's like, make a move and you're canceled, bro. And then he just goes.
He doesn't care.
Like, it's great. Like, I love that. Like, you know, so I definitely think that there is potential there. I just want a quality TCM film. Like, that's all I want, because we haven't gotten one in so long. We've had a couple that were like, okay.
Wait. How do you feel about the 2000s movies though?
No, I like the last one that I really enjoyed, that I was like, this is great, was the one with Jessica Biel.
Okay.
Outside of that,
Yeah.
none of the other
I was
ones
just curious.
I thought were great. There were a couple sprinkled in, a couple moments here and there, but for the most part, they weren't very good. Like the one with Jessica Biel, what was that, 2006 or something?
2002 or 2003, I want to say.
2003, I think
yeah.
it was. Yeah, so the 2003 one I thought was great. I thought that was fantastic. And I would love to see them sort of, you know what this feels like to me? This feels like it should have been a series like Chucky rather than a movie. Just the plot and the story and the idea. I think that they really could have done. I think they would have been better off doing a series. And I'm actually more I'm more in the camp of like, I'd like to see a lot of these iconic horror franchises become series, especially on these streaming platforms, because Chucky got away with a lot of stuff and that was on cable. Imagine what these streaming platforms could do, and I understand Netflix, this kind of just fell in their lap. It was a huge mess, and it looks like they put the money and the time into kind of, trying to fix this and correct it. So hopefully they did. Hopefully they got it on the cheap, so it made sense for them to say, hey, let's pump some money into this and actually make it a good movie. But I definitely have my reservation. I don't want to get my hopes up, is my point. Like, well, I don't want to accept this as like a great film and then I go in and it's just another terrible film.
Well, I think, not to cut you off, but just for your point, making it a series, I think the only way that would have worked is if it was a true, if there wasn't such a time gap between the first and this one, you know what I'm saying? Because this is obviously following, all the sequels follow the first, except for the remake. I actually think
that makes more sense, though. I think
I agree.
Because of the gap, I think a series makes more sense, because then you have the time to kind of fill in that gap. You could have an entire episode around Sally, where you see her, because they're clearly going the Halloween route with Laurie Strode and Sally, where she's been waiting 50 years for this moment.
Well, what I was going to say is the thing that would make it interesting, to your point, was to include the family aspect in there, some other cousins or uncles or whatever, because to me, Leatherface as a character was kind of like, it was almost like a team type of thing. He was the forefront of it. He was the no pun intended, he was the face of the team. But you also had, obviously the other family members that were crazed and lunatics as well. That would have made a good series, because Leatherface on his own, he's just hiding out, just trying to live his life and sow his skins and stuff like that. And if you piss him off, he's going to hack you up with the chainsaw. And I don't know how much we could do with a series with that. But like you said, if they flash back and they include Sally and maybe some other elements, that could be interesting.
That's a really good point about Chucky versus Leatherface. Like, because Chucky is just like on his own. He's a very charismatic character. He talks a lot. Leatherface, he doesn't talk. He grunts and slices your head off. That's it. But I do understand. I understand that aspect. But like, my biggest thing is one of my biggest things I didn't love about the Chucky TV series is like, TV shows love to over-explain things that don't need explaining to me. Like, I like the mystery of some horror films where you don't know everything as to like why this is the case. Like, I don't want, like, there's a part of me that never wants an explanation as to why the Sawyer family is eating people. It's just scary to think that they exist somewhere in the middle of rural Texas. That's scary to me. And getting an explanation for that kind of takes away from what's so scary for me. Right. And with the new Chucky TV show, like, a lot of people wanted to know, like, what's Tiffany's backstory with Chucky, and the show does a great job of explaining that. I'll say that, but I didn't need that. You know what I mean? That's how I feel about it. I never needed that explanation. I wish they would have focused more on like just the scary stuff, Chucky run or the silly stuff too, because that's what Child's Play is all about. It's kind of weird to compare both of these franchises next to each other. They're so different. They're so different. Right. But with the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, though, one of the biggest things I want to see is some gory kills. And going back to the original movie, which is not really a slasher film, it's much more of an art house film. It actually doesn't have too many super gory kills.
Exactly.
I want to go back to that psychological terror of that original film, but it feels like this movie is going to be much more of a slasher and much more in the alleyway of the new Halloween films, because like you guys said, they're basically writing Sally to be Laurie Strode in another universe where
do you have an issue with that?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Because there's some people that are really on one side or the other of that, and I understand it. But as we all know, horror has always copied each other.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
we wouldn't
Oh, yeah.
we wouldn't even be talking about, you know, Chucky if it wasn't for, you know, Freddy, or if it wasn't for Jason.
I mean, Friday
or
the
if it wasn't,
13th
you
was a
know,
direct ripoff of Halloween.
of
Right,
Halloween.
right.
The people that
and
made
Halloween
Friday,
and Halloween copied off of Black Christmas.
Yeah,
You know, so
yeah.
it's like,
that's
you
what I'm saying,
know,
like, yeah.
well,
I mean,
you know,
Horror builds on itself, and that's what's
Yeah.
so interesting about it as a genre. Is it just constantly is taking something from the past and twisting it in a whole nother way, and either doing it
Right.
better or much worse.
Exactly.
And that's what's so interesting about it to me. It's like you're always taking a familiar concept with every horror movie that comes out for the most part, and you're kind of just
Yeah.
twisting it in your own sick way. And I love that. I love that about this genre the most. You don't get that really anywhere else. I will say this about her kind of being basically Laurie Strode. If they portray her the same exact way as in like the new Halloween films, yeah, I'll probably take a problem with it, just because it's like you can be close to something, but if you're exactly just copying it, that's a problem
Yeah.
for me. I'll just watch Halloween
Yeah.
2018 again. I don't
Yeah.
want that from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise.
Yeah,
that's
I agree.
that's my point exactly. Like I if they are creative with it, if she's just somebody that just, you know, has been waiting, but the problem is they set it up like she is Laurie Strode. I mean, like the dialogue in the trailer
Yeah.
was the exact same. You know, I've
Yeah.
been waiting. She's in the car. She has guns. She's ready. She's locked and loaded. She's wearing like a combat outfit, you know, and just like, I've been waiting 50 years for his return. Like, it's the
Yeah,
exact,
I
like, and
did not like
that's,
that from
and
the
that's the
trailer.
issue I have with it. I am all for them bringing Sally back. I
Yeah.
think that was a great idea, but not to bring Sally back as Laurie Strode, because like you said, I might as well just go watch Halloween 18 again. And it's
Right.
probably better than this Texas Chainsaw Massacre will be. I understand the horror is a copycat league. I understand that. But there's copycatting with your own twist, and then there's just blatant ripoffs that are far less superior. And that's what I don't want. I don't want to see, you know,
Ooh.
a blatant ripoff that is just
Right.
not as good and not as well established and all of that stuff. I would rather them be creative, like, you know, take an idea and just, you know, bring her back, but bring her back as, you know, I know she's supposed to be like the Texas Ranger or something like that.
Right. Yeah.
I know she's not like just some hermit that like Laurie, where she's just living in the middle of nowhere training.
That's different.
I know she has a purpose, but still, like, you know, I mean, I don't know. To me, that's kind of, now you're just going Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, right, with Dennis Hopper. Where it's
Yeah.
just, you know, like you're just kind of redoing that even, and it's like, and I actually liked that movie. I thought that movie was
I
pretty.
did too.
You could argue that Halloween 2018 has a lot of parallels to like H20.
H2O.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
H2O, whatever. But like, I don't know. I feel like it's much different though, just because of like the tone and the style of it is just so much like David Gordon Green's horror movie style, which is so interesting. A lot of people don't recognize that he's like he was the director of a bunch of like stoner comedies before he did Halloween. He like didn't really do much horror. Like he did like like Your Highness with Danny McBride and stuff. Like, I don't know if you guys have seen that. It's really goofy.
Yes.
But like then he goes and makes Halloween, and honestly, I love Halloween 2018. It's up there for me. It's in my top 5 for the franchise personally. But it's really interesting that his transition to horror was also done so well. We have all these comedians in horror movies now, which is so
crazy,
interesting.
isn't
Jordan
it?
Peele is another great example. Yeah, it's awesome. I love it. But to stay on topic, because I can just go all over the place with movies, unfortunately.
Well, the other thing too is, and
yeah.
just to say one thing, because we've got someone in the comments was talking about that, waiting 50 years to get Leatherface while the guy still lives in the same house. Couldn't she just go there like 100 times? From what I understand, he actually isn't at the old Sawyer house anymore. He actually kind of whatever you want to call it, scurried to this rundown, deserted town, so to speak, to hide away. From what I understand of it.
In the trailer, don't we see part of the Sawyer family, like briefly, or no? Am I wrong? Because I thought it looked like the same house.
You just see the old lady. You just see that some old lady that's there.
Yeah, in the stairs from the original house, though. It's the same layout.
It did look like the same layout. I could have sworn that I read and I could be totally wrong about that, because everything about that trailer, I was just like, wow, you know, I was just trying to absorb it all. But they would definitely have to explain that if it is the same house.
When they released the plot, they said that he went into hiding. and that lady is supposed to be the one that is like covering for him. So it's very possible that she went there, that the cops went there. They, trenched through the house and didn't find him. Maybe he's somewhere. Maybe they built an underground bunker or something for him. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's definitely something that's going to need to be touched on, because I'm assuming that there's something. But we do see what appears to be the Sawyer house in the actual trailer.
Right.
But I don't know if Leatherface actually is living there, because the whole plot of the film is that they go to this deserted town and they find that woman there, and they basically try to kick her out, and that's why Leatherface picks up the chainsaw again, because they're trying to kick him out of the family home or whatever. So I don't know. I mean, obviously that's the movie's job to have us understand that, but it is. But that's my concern. Is like there's so much stuff that just doesn't make sense at this time, and they haven't done a very good job of piecing it together. And I get it. It's Netflix. They don't really have to market this movie because everyone either has a Netflix account or has access to one. So people are going to watch it. And Netflix has already said they don't really care as long as people
dude's
watch.
Been hiding in the sunflowers for 50 years. I hope so. I hope that scene in the trailer when he pops his head up is like the first time in 50 years he's like, I'm awake. Let's go. Let's kill people.
Who's here?
In the sunflower field.
Oh, this is a really random thing to bring up, but did you see that guy on Twitter who's like, he's editing a new character into the sunflower field every day? Like,
no, really? That's see, I told you we should be editing Ghost. I feel like we need
you said that the other day.
We need somebody who does that. You know what I hope? You know what I hope we hear? I hope we hear during that scene when we see the sunflowers and we see Leatherface pop up. I hope we get Post Malone's Sunflower song.
Oh, that would be so funny.
Someone must have
cutting
already
off
done
some's
that.
face to that
Yeah,
song.
they're just singing.
Awesome.
You just hear Post Malone singing Sunflower.
Oh my god!
That'd be great.
Where have we gone?
That would make me happy. But to stay on track, I still put it out there. If anyone in this chat is good at Photoshop, reach out to us, because I'm telling you, that's a way that we can go viral. Like I said, put Ghostface behind people all the time or whatever. Like, I'm telling you, that'd be great. But I don't know. As far as like TCM, and then we can move on to the next topic. But Halloween. As far as that goes, like I said, I don't want to get my hopes up, because this was a movie that was a disaster from the start, and usually that's not good. When very few films have been complete disasters in the beginning and then pulled it out at the end. But I don't know. Hopefully, I want to be hopeful, because I really would love a great Leatherface film. It's been a while. But I don't know. I feel like this was just something that Netflix fell in their lap, and they were like, why not? Let's just put it out there.
So let's just go around. We'll make some predictions about it, and then we'll move on to Halloween Ends. But one thing I want to say just real quickly about the film is, like, yes, there was a lot of production issues. They had to fire the original directors. I won't name them because it's kind of embarrassing. But they got fired over creative differences, and then they bring on this guy David Blue Garcia. Now he's made like a drama. He hasn't really. I think he made like a drama film or maybe one horror movie. He's like he's a younger director, to my knowledge of him, and he's really passionate about Texas Chainsaw to what I know. Like, he had this quote about how they used an original chainsaw from the 1974 movie in this film, which is really cool. And he would he would touch it like every morning and be like, and feel blessed by it. He had some quote about it, which is really funny to me. So he's got the passions there. You know what I mean? Yeah. And sometimes when that's there, that really makes up for some of those shortcomings. I really, the cast is also super nice. I have a buddy who's reached out to them, and when we didn't have a release date, we didn't have a trailer yet, he was reaching out to like some of the cast and crew and the director, asking like, what's going on with this movie, where's it going, what's happening with it, and they were all super nice to my friend. That's cool. That's a positive for me. Another thing I want to say is that they used all practical effects for this movie, which is such an improvement over the last two films.
Right? Oh my gosh. Yeah,
that's such a big deal for me. So the fact that they did that, big deal. I think honestly, I'm thinking it's gonna be good. I think it's gonna be one of the better movies in the franchise. I like 1 and 2. You can't touch those in my opinion. I love both those films. Totally different movies, but I love both of them. I really think that this is gonna be one of the better ones in the franchise though. So let's hope it's a gory, fun little slasher film. Even though I would like to see an art house movie again in this franchise, but whatever.
Nice and gritty and dirty like the original. That would be great. Yeah, I'm hopeful, cautiously hopeful, because like I said, the franchise has had its ups and downs. But like I said, based on the trailer and also some of the stuff that we're talking about tonight, I'm looking forward to it. Like when it comes out, I'm actually kind of, like, all right, I get to see what this is all about. Before I was probably, maybe 20% excited for this thing. I'm probably up to about 65%, 70%. Thinking that there's a chance this might be decent. Story-wise, we'll have to see. But even from the trailer, I was looking at, some of the gore, and I was like, okay, if we get some good gore on it, and it looked good in the trailer anyways, I was like, okay, that's a big plus. Sally coming back, that's a big plus, as long as she's written correctly. And yeah, I mean, I'm pretty excited about it. I really am, which I really wasn't before. So that's a victory for me.
Yeah, I'll definitely watch it. I'll definitely check it out when it comes out. I mean, it's one of those things like, why not? I have a Netflix account. It doesn't cost me anything, so I might as well. But, if this was a film in theaters, would I go see it? Probably. But I don't think I would rush to go see it just because, like I said, the plot nothing really stands out to me about this movie. Like, if I'm being honest, like I from a fan perspective and somebody that enjoys and wants an actual quality film, then yes, there is that part of me that wants it. But like, this isn't like I said, if it was being released in theaters, I wouldn't be going the day of to go watch it and pushing everything aside.
You don't want to see Leatherface chop up people in a party bus?
I do, but
I want to see that.
For all we know, that might be the only good scene in the entire movie.
Okay, but you wouldn't pay $10 to see that. I'd pay $10 to see that.
No, because I can just
if Jake from the future came back right now and was like, dude, like I came back from February 19th. That movie sucked ass, but the one thing that was awesome was the party bus scene. I'd be like,
that
sign
3-minute
me
scene.
Yeah, I'd pay. I give him my money for that. Honestly, maybe my expectations are just lower for things. I don't know.
So we're gonna set up a GoFundMe for Jake because he's clearly horrible with money. So the GoFundMe for Jake is
he's gonna need an accountant.
Be sure to donate to Jake.
I got my Kickstarter going up for Red Right Hand. Shameless plug.
There we go.
So,
there
you go.
There we go. I'm horrible with money. There you go. Try anything and you're canceled, bro. Yeah, there you go.
That's true facts.
Yeah.
But
facts,
anyway, let's transition to Halloween Ends.
Halloween.
Where he picks up.
Calling me out, bro. Damn.
Oh wow.
Jake's mean.
In all fairness,
Jake's mean.
I'm a meanie. Yeah, I'm a real bully on the internet here.
He's a poop face.
You're a piss baby.
Oh man. Okay, children. No, I'm just joking.
Thanks, Dad.
He did it, not me.
I don't want it. But
Jake's
Halloween
being
ends.
mean. Okay, all right.
We're
Halloween ends.
We're
all right. So let me ask you guys this. And we touched upon it last week a little bit, but for Laurie Strode, I mean, to me, for my fandom, the final girl. Like she's just that cool. Do we think that she's already said people are going to be pissed? Okay, so we know that that's been out in the news. She said people are going to be pissed off with the ending of this movie. What do you guys think that means? If you were to take a guess, what do you think she means by that?
Dude. Okay, did you see the picture that Andy Manichak posted today?
Oh no,
No.
So she posts a picture with I want to say Laurie Strode, Jamie Lee Curtis. She posts a picture of them together on set. They're both wearing shirts that say "Final Girls" on it. So that makes me like theorize a lot with that because like I have this feeling that like both of them could die. What?
Look at Blanca's comment.
Laurie and Michael Shake. That would be fucking great. That would be so good.
Oh no!
Michael's first words is "I'm sorry."
He's just like My bad. My bad. My bad.
My B. That's my bad.
Well, not
you know,
if you
like-
count the Rob Zombie movies.
You're right. You're right.
Die.
Die.
Jeez.
It's
But
so
anyway, go
out of
ahead.
nowhere, and that's the
Right?
second one, right? Yeah, it's the end of the second one.
Yeah, the one we
Dude.
will not talk about.
Because-
Bro, could
Oh,
you imagine if Halloween 3 happens with Rob Zombie? What the fuck would have happened in that movie?
God, man.
That's
Michael
so
would have
weird.
been an alien from planet Mars, and
Right?
Dude, like if they kill Laurie Strode though, that's so weird,
Right.
man. Why would they
It
do that?
would.
Like, dude,
I don't.
we hated that when they did it in Resurrection. We're not gonna like it
Yeah.
now. Don't kill
Right.
Laurie Strode, man. That's what I say. But I'm also worried that that's the case.
I think that is what's going to happen. I mean, I've talked about it here. I just think they're sort of alluding to it heavily. I mean, like Jamie said, you know, people are going to hate this. You know, she said that this is the last film she's ever going to do, and that's it. So I just think the way that they have established her character, they are sort of leading that into her meeting her end, you know, and hopefully they don't go that route. But the thing is that, like, yeah, it might piss people off, but who cares? It's the last movie Jamie's ever going to do, you know? So, like, why does she care? You know, it's just like, I don't know. It's just, I think it comes down to what she wants to. I think if Jamie
Right.
Lee Curtis says, you know, like, hey, I want Laurie to have a happy ending, but she's even kind of alluded to the idea of Laurie not going that route, that's not her
Right.
character. I believe there was even an
Yeah.
interview where she said that, like, that's not what Laurie's fate should always be, like, you know, like, and so I don't know. I think all signs and arrows are pointing to Laurie dying in some capacity in this film, whether it's, you know,
Yeah.
to take down Michael, to, you know, maybe set up the blow so Allison can do it, like whatever the
Yeah.
case may be. I think they're kind of setting it up to be that case.
Yeah.
And I think that that's the route they're very likely going to go.
Yeah.
It's execution. I think execution is everything. I mean, the big issue, the one issue most people have is resurrection. And that's because, you know, of how she died,
Jeez. Oh,
And-
man.
you know, and
That was
not
so
only-
damn ridiculous.
and how
Yeah.
quickly she died, you know? So
Yeah.
I think if they give her a proper death, I think it could go. It's execution. I mean, that's the big thing in films, period.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I definitely think it's leaning towards her dying as well. And like you said too, Jake, I don't want that. I mean, obviously because of my affinity for the character, but in this current mythology, it's definitely going down that road. I mean, she even said it in Halloween Kills, you know, let me be killed as I'm killing him or something like that.
Yeah,
You
sure.
know, he is now ascended and blah blah blah. And even though, you know, they talk about, well, he wasn't coming for you, it was never about you, but she still sees it as her versus him. You know what I mean? She still takes that guilt, even though Frank was like, no, it was my fault because I could have stopped him back in 78. So it definitely looks like that's what's going to happen. And I think that it's got to be her helping Allison, saving Allison, or something of that sort. Allison's got to be involved with it one way or the other, because she just has to be, because her character arc has moved to that point. You know, each movie.
Why would they set up her character otherwise? You know
Right.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Yes. Yep. I mean, every movie she's, you know, gotten stronger. She's gotten more involved in the Michael lore, the boogeyman lore, and so forth. And I think she's a hell of a character. I like Andi Matichak. I think she's a great actress, and I think the character has been a good character to see. So she's going to be involved, and I think that's how unfortunately, Laurie Strode's going to die. So, and it's going to be sad.
Yeah, it's gonna be sad, man. I mean, if she ends up killing Michael while she dies, and we get a definitive Michael Myers death on screen, you know, okay, like I'll take it. I'm not gonna be happy about it, but I'll take it. You know.
Now,
I
do
don't know.
you mean that at the end of this movie, even though it's called Halloween Ends, are you saying that you would rather there be some type of question to Michael's death? Is that what you're saying?
We have done that so many times. In
Right.
fact, we have never technically had a definitive death for Michael Myers. I mean, you could count Rob Zombie's second Halloween, but like like we were just talking about, Rob Zombie had plans for a third film. So like that wasn't really a death for Michael Myers. Let's just do that one time. And let's do that in the film that's called Halloween Ends.
Halloween
you know
Ends.
what I mean?
Yep.
Isn't that so fitting? Isn't that poetic? I say yes.
Absolutely.
Let's kill Michael for the first time. There we go. Cool. Well, what happens next? Now, the only thing that goes against that is Mustafa Akkad is so against that. He does not want to kill Michael, wants to keep him alive. He might have had a change of heart in the past 40 years, though. I don't know. Who knows?
Here's my theme. Oh, go ahead. What were you going to say?
Well, he's passed away. So now it's
right, but would that be dishonoring his legacy if you kill Michael?
Yeah,
that's what I mean. Because what's his son's name that's still part of this? Malik. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. I could be pronouncing that wrong, but yeah.
Me too. But you're right though. It might have been something that he kind of, passed on down and said, "Hey, you don't forget, don't kill Michael."
Because like, what if radio silence kills Sidney Prescott? You know what I mean? That's like a middle finger to Wes Craven. That's how I feel about that, at least. That's kind of, is that the same thing here though? Is the question. I don't know. Like if they got his son's blessing, maybe. I don't know.
Here's my thing with that though. Like Halloween has been around so long, and there have been so many different branches and timelines and all this stuff. I don't think it's a big deal to have one timeline where he dies, because this isn't going to be the last film. They're going to make another Halloween in probably
Blumhouse
a year
even
or two.
said that. Yeah, they even said they're making more movies after this.
Yeah, so that's the thing. It's not like this is going to be the be all end all. It's just, why not let this be the the 18 trilogy, and this is that branch of timeline, and this is how Michael dies in this one, and whatever. And then, now you start a new timeline, and a new Michael, and just maybe tell a whole new fresh story without Laurie and all that stuff. Like, or completely reboot the franchise, whatever the case might be. Because this isn't going to be it for Halloween. I mean, we have no continuity anywhere in this franchise. So it's like, what's the difference if I just think, I don't think they titled it Halloween Ends just randomly. I just don't think they were like, what should we call this movie? Halloween Ends because it's the end of the trilogy. Like, no, I think that it has some. I mean, Halloween Kills was Halloween Kills because it's what it was. It was Michael running around just killing people. I think there is.
Yep, that's all it was. Nothing else.
Yeah, that is all it was. I think there is some significance to the title. I think the title is deliberate, and that doesn't mean it's the end of Michael, but I think it's going to be the end of somebody. I definitely think Allison is being set up to be that transition character. She's going to be the passing of the torch character. And will they use her as the face going forward? Which then, if that's the case, you can't kill Michael. It's like, because if she's going to kind of continue on.
Well, that's what I was thinking too, is if they want to keep going with her, then, and see, that's the problem with all these multiple timelines. Cause then you get caught in certain lanes and you only have a certain amount of room to move with. But to me, when Jamie Lee Curtis said people are going to be pissed, the way I took it would have been that she's going to die, but Michael doesn't.
That's exactly how I took it too.
I'd be pissed. I'd be pissed if that was the case.
Well, that's what I'm saying. To me, I'd be pissed too, because if she dies, he's got to die. As a fan of Laurie Strode. But the way she said it, I was just thinking, man, she's going to die. And she's going to die trying to kill Michael, and he doesn't. Or maybe it's left up in the air, and the next thing if they're doing this radio tower thing, he falls from the radio tower or something like that, and they can't find his body or something wacky like that. I think that would piss off people. It would, for me as a fan, I wouldn't like that.
I think that's the right. I really do. I think, like, as soon as I heard all that, I was like, she's going to die. Like, that's what they're going to do. I mean, and I don't know. It just, I think the real question comes down to, do they want to continue this story with Allison or not? Do they want to start the new thing? Because if they want to really transition Allison into future installments and kind of make her the face of Halloween, like the new Laurie Strode, then you have to kill Laurie and you have to keep Michael alive. Right. But if they don't, and this is going to be the end of this timeline, the end of this branch, then I think you could kill Michael and let it go. That's the problem. The big thing is, like, who's going to have the balls to finally kill Michael, I think, is the thing. You know,
Right.
like who's gonna finally say like, no, we need to make this happen. You know, I mean, they've tried to do it. I mean, Halloween H2O, they tried to do it. You know, and then I mean, it literally ended with Michael getting his head chopped off, and then it went to credits. Like, you know, like,
Right.
so like it was like, oh, he finally died, and then
That's a great ending to me.
It was
I
a
thought
great
it was
ending.
too.
It really
the
was.
resurrection just goes and
Oh man,
just does this to it, you know? It's
yeah,
like,
it just
geez, man.
yeah. I mean, when she swiped at him, and okay, again, it's all credit, so much credit, I should say, to Jamie Lee Curtis, because when she did it, well, first that look on her face, almost like she was hesitating, and then she was kind of like, huh, and then swiped it, and the music came on, and you saw his head roll. I was like,
Yeah.
holy shit, he's dead,
They
you know,
did
and like, wow.
Well,
you
the
know?
problem is too is that like when it came to Resurrection, I mean, besides the movie just being terrible, but even the whole explanation on why Michael didn't die made zero sense.
Exactly.
We watched Michael be in the van. We watched it all unfold. We watched.
Oh,
the
but
van
guess
tumble
what?
over. Like, no, you were wrong.
They got
she
what
hit
is it
somebody
like
with
they
a car and it was somebody.
It's like a
security guard.
security guard or something, right?
Yeah,
and
it
they
was
just
in
put
a
the,
mask.
Michael put his mask on him. Like what?
Yeah, and he hit him in the throat so he couldn't talk. It's like, you know what? I can still move around.
It was
and
like,
be like,
yeah.
no,
it's
Yeah,
not
totally.
me. Hey, like, yeah, and then they tried to make it sound like the reason he was
Michael
freaking
Myers
out
would
and
never do
stuff.
this. Like if you did this, you'd
Exactly.
be good. You'd be fine.
Yeah.
Michael would
Yeah.
never do that.
Yeah.
So, like,
Right? Take off the freaking mask. Right.
yeah, just whatever.
Oh,
Just say, you know, like it's not surprise. Surprise, Sydney.
Oh man.
Okay,
Horror movie. But
really want to hear your guys' thoughts on this. Do you think
Okay.
Michael will actually say something in this film?
I hope not.
I hope not.
I kind of hope not too. But like, dude, that's the Halloween 2018. Say something, Michael. Say something. Cut the title card, dude. And like I've been like, yeah, right. Like I was saying earlier too, is like they've been setting up a lot of weird things in this franchise. For what? I'm not sure. Like the radio tower thing is clearly something very significant and poignant.
Yeah.
The very first thing we saw was Aaron yelling at Michael saying, "Say something." Is he gonna say something? I don't know. I like.
hope not.
If he does, it
I
better
hope
just
not.
be one word or something really fucking dumb, or something not fucking dumb. I mean,
Yeah, it wouldn't make sense to me.
They're so my problem with this two films, I was gonna say trilogy, but we're not at the trilogy yet, is that in some cases they're so all over the place. Like in some things in their own story just don't add up. And we've talked about some of the things too, like, you know, like the supernatural element of Michael. You know, I mean, they have continuously said that he's only a man, that he's just this and that. But then there's moments where they completely sort of retcon that and say, like, no, it's not the case. Like, it's just, and like the talking thing, it's like, are they going to go that route? Like, what is, it's like they set up these things and then later on they like, almost like they forget that they set those up.
Right.
Or like they just try to change it or whatever. Like, and that's my problem is there's moments throughout these films so far that just don't have real continuity. And that concerns me because it's like, you know, like when it comes to Halloween Ends, like, are they going to retcon some of the stuff that they already did and just kind of go a different direction? Like what, you know what I mean? Like, I just, I don't know. It just, and that's my concern. I'm looking forward to Halloween Ends. I hope it gets the film, you know, the franchise back on track. I know you guys loved Halloween Kills. I didn't, but I just think I have hope that this will be a good conclusion to the trilogy. But at the same time, I have my concerns that it's just gonna fuck it up, you know, to for lack of a better word. I really do.
Really?
I really could see them doing it. I really can. I wouldn't put it past them. I don't think they will.
Yeah.
But they're already, I mean, the fact that we're already talking about concerns that could very well happen and how it would ruin the film for us is an issue. You know what I mean? Like, and they're very believable things. This isn't just fan theories that we pulled out of our behinds. Like this is
my concern about Laurie dying or not, that's strictly just me fanboying for Laurie Strode and Jamie Lee Curtis. Now, if I think about it realistically, you know, that's what she's been living for, is to kill Michael, you know, in this story. So her killing him or dying to try, it makes sense, and it's been set up. So, you know, story wise, it works. Just as a fan, for me, that's just like, oh man, I don't want her to be dead. You know, I didn't want Dewey to be dead either. But in the story, they had a reasoning for it. I didn't agree with the reasoning, but that's what it was. So that's my only concern. I think the movie's going to be good. I really do. I have faith in this franchise, in the filmmakers, David Gordon Green and everyone else. And I mean, again, it's a Halloween film. You know, it does not. I mean, granted, Halloween Kills really had some nice layers that they were trying to shoot for, and it didn't work for every person. I know it didn't work for you, Fate, but I think that at the end of the day, they said this one is going to be a much more simple movie, a much more, you know, bottleneck type of movie, and I think that's great. I think that's great because you keep it simple and you let your characters do what they need to do. These characters that we've built up, like an Allison. But I think it's going to be good. I really, really do.
I just
But you
have
know,
concerns because even the 4-year gap, I
mhm.
think is silly. Like because you just had
That's
Michael
interesting
think
to me
about
though.
but think about it. You just had Michael pillage through this town and do all this stuff and hey, Jake Fate Night, and pillage through this town. How you
Hi.
doing? I fly. Like
Hey,
and what? And then you're just gonna have 4 years in between? Like what?
Dude,
Michael?
like, okay, like I was saying though, Michael Myers in the sewer eating rats. Come on, that's
Yes,
so
I
cool,
do
man.
think that that's a good idea, but it's like
yeah,
no, like it's just there needs to be a reasonable explanation, and I don't know if we're going to get that. I could see them giving us some stupid, like I could easily see them just saying that Michael got captured by the cops, he went back to jail, and he sat there for 4 years. Tell me that that's not a likely scenario because it happens in every single movie.
That's
Like,
why they won't do it. That's exactly why they won't
Yeah.
do
but that's
it.
what I'm saying.
Because
I
So then,
agree.
we've
so
seen
then what
that
else?
so many
What
times.
else are they gonna do? Like, are they
Listen,
really gonna do
we're
the sewer? Like Michael living at this radio tower for 4 years. Nobody ever went to the radio tower. No one ever. How far is this radio tower? Like, let's say he was living in. Let's say he did go into the sewers. Like
Mm.
there are city workers and all kinds of stuff that go into those sewers.
and you think a
You know,
city worker could take down Michael Myers?
no, but I'm saying, but somebody would know that that city worker was killed. You know what I mean? Like in a 4-year period, somebody
And
would
Michael
know.
Myers eats like dogs and shit. I wouldn't put it past him
Yeah.
to eat
I
a
don't know.
person, you know?
I just think
Right.
that as much as they could make a great film, I think that they could easily just ruin it. You know, I mean, I could. What if they kill Lori halfway into the movie? You know, because
They won't do
really,
that. They for
I don't
sure.
think
No,
they
if
will.
Lori's
that, though.
if no. Because here's the
They
thing,
got-
dude. They're
yeah, go
fans
ahead.
of the franchise. They have seen
Yeah.
all the movies. They have studied these things. There's references to literally every other Halloween movies just crammed
Yeah.
into these two movies. They know what
Exactly.
I think they know what they're doing story wise to do something different from the past. The one thing they could mess up though is making the ending something dark just to make it dark. Like for example,
Right.
like what if the ending, and this is something that I've thought about, and I was actually gonna make a whole video on it
That's
tomorrow.
another good point too.
If they take the dark route, they could have a scene where it's Laurie Strode and she's dying on the ground, which God forbid this happens, but
Right.
Michael Myers is about to kill her, and she literally says like, "Say something," like dying, and then Michael doesn't
Oh,
say anything,
no.
kills her, and just walks out into the distance as the Halloween
Yeah.
music plays, and that's the fucking ending.
No.
I don't put it past these filmmakers. That's how I think they could possibly ruin it, quotation marks. I don't even think
Yeah.
that would ruin it for me personally, which because I love dark shit, man. Like dark endings is always interesting to me, just to see like the villain win. That's always
Yes.
interesting to me. I'm always curious in seeing movies like that because so many filmmakers are horrified to do something like that.
Right.
But if they go that route, fans will not be happy. That would genuinely make people angry. But another thing that would make people angry is just Laurie Strode dying in general. I think the most likely situation here is we get Laurie Strode having a poetic death, killing Michael Myers, but then bleeding out ultimately. Because like at that point, she has done what she has been living to do her whole life. She
Right.
trained her daughter
Yep.
to literally defend against just Michael Myers. I
Exactly.
mean, she spent years of her life doing that. So if she
An
died in that
obsession.
way, it would be poetic. It would make sense. It would be upsetting, but I could see it happening.
Blecka said something too. Comment before that where he said, "Why did Michael stop killing people?" Like that's another thing too. Like that they need to explain because again, there's a 4-year gap, and it's not like this. It's not like Halloween Kills had a conclusive ending where they established everything. Like, so it's like, and if Lori did bulldoze his house, like, what do they think he's dead? Do they maybe she bulldozed the house with him inside of it, and they think it's
but
like,
they never found a body, so they
yeah, exactly, or something like that.
Right.
Like, I'm saying like there, it's if this was a direct continuation from Halloween Kills, like the same night or something like that, I think that it would be perfect because you easily have the transition story. But you're talking a lot can happen in 4 years.
True.
Okay. Take this for instance though. Lori bulldozed his house. What is Michael trying to do throughout the entire runtime of Halloween Kills? Get home. He wants to get home.
Right.
He wants to go to his room. He wants to look at himself in the window. He wants to see his reflection. That's all he wants to do. What happens now to Michael Myers when Laurie Strode bulldozes his house? What does he do? He's not after Laurie. I don't even think he's a spiteful guy. Like, I know that's crazy. That's out there because he kills everyone he comes in front of. I don't think he's spiteful. I genuinely think that he's just trying to get
out of his way to kill people in every single movie.
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't go out of his way. He kills people in his way.
Hold on. Let me go to my favorite scene. Hold on.
Go ahead, Knight. Go ahead.
Hold on. Here's my favorite scene from 2018. That long shot where he's walking. There's like 80 million people on the streets going trick-or-treating, and he's just kind of looking, and he looks around, and then he's just like, house where that lady was and the baby, and she kills lady.
He goes into the house and he murders innocent people.
Right.
Why doesn't he kill those two kids he just walked into though?
And he didn't kill the doctor and the nurse. But what I'm saying is and Carpenter has always said this. He's just evil. There's no rhyme or reason. He's just like, if you're in his path, you're probably gonna die. If he's walking straight and you're in his path, you're gonna die. There could be someone right here. He may not even deal with them. He may not even acknowledge them. And to me, that scene in you guys know the scene I'm talking about in 2018.
Yeah,
I love that scene because I'm thinking to myself, oh shit, who's gonna catch it? And like there were dozens of people all around, and he only killed a couple of people. And in my mind, what made it scary, and of course, I'm a fan of the franchise, but in my mind, I kept thinking to myself, wow, that person was so lucky, or this person was so lucky. Why was that person so yes,
that's what's
random.
Scary about it. You don't know who his target is. You don't know what his ultimate goal is.
Right. Why would Michael if
that's the point. That's the point.
Why would
you don't
just
know.
Say, I'm just going to just go into the wood? Like, why wouldn't he go find a new house or go do something? I mean,
because that has no sentimental value to him. The only thing that has sentimental value
because he cared about his home.
That's what I'm saying. The only thing that has sentimental value to him is the house he grew up in. So what does he do now that his house no longer exists? He goes into hiding because he's a little stupid, but he's not stupid enough to not be aware of authorities and know that he could go back to prison. I don't think he wants to go back to prison. You know what I mean? He wants to be out and about killing people. So
tell me, there would be a manhunt for him. There would be all kind. What I'm saying is that if this was a direct continuation, like Halloween Kills ends, boom, we get what's her name dies, and then you go right into Halloween Ends. That makes perfect sense. Michael gets to the house, Laurie knows that he's in the house, boom, I'm gonna go bulldoze that effing thing, boom, bulldozes it. Michael's out and about. So, whatever. Now they can take him down. Maybe he runs to this tower because he's trying to find somewhere to go. Boom, 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 boom. But you don't. You have a 4-year gap. You can't just pick up 4 years and just continue the story.
Here's one more thing about Michael Myers, though, that you're not considering. He also spent the majority of his life in prison and never did anything about it. He doesn't really care.
Yes. He just stood there. It didn't matter to him.
He didn't speak a word. He didn't care.
He doesn't care, but the town does. And that's what they established in Kills. The town just said, "Oh, well, he's out of there. Good, thank God."
Another thing they established in Kills is that a shit ton of people can't kill Michael Myers. So if Michael just kind of wandered into the sewer and just never left, he wouldn't leave. He would have no reason to leave. He really does not care. The only reason I think he even goes to his house is because he's like, "Hey, I'm in Haddonfield. Cool." I'll go kill a bunch of random people and go back to my room. He's not thinking logic. I don't even think he's thinking all that logically. I think, honest to God, for whatever reason, he just gets lured into a a sewer drain, and he's kind of, or somewhere like the radio tower, like a fucking outhouse. I don't know. And he's just kind of hanging out somewhere. And then like maybe when a few people come and find him, he just kills them, you know? And maybe that could be the reason why after 4 years, he just randomly shows up again. What if what if some teenagers find him in a storm drain? David Gordon Green in both of those movies have all these random side characters that you like just meet and you kind of start to like them and then they get killed. That happens all the time. What if we have some teenager characters who venture into a storm drain? They're like, oh, there's some kind of monster in here. People go missing. Oh, that's cool. And then they go in there. They discover Michael Myers. Michael Myers sees sunlight for the first time in 4 years and is like, hey, that's cool. And, you know, of course, it's a coincidence that it's Halloween night.
Looks like it's October 31st, y'all.
Exactly.
I mean, there's always going to be holes.
I can see that
I get that. But what I'm saying is that, like, where's Craven? I got tired of his Stu talk, so I kicked him out.
Oh, geez.
But like when it comes to, but that's my problem is that like you're gonna have to explain something because you established.
I think they got a game plan for that.
I hope so.
They don't have to explain everything though. That's
right.
Yes, but you need because they left it off as this town. Yes, they tried to kill Michael. It didn't work. But this town is still out. There's still all these people that are alive that want Michael dead. All being led at the helm by Laurie Strode. Laurie is so obsessed, and they have established her as so obsessed. She's not just gonna let Michael walk away. She's not. She's not gonna wait 4 years to go after Michael Myers.
But what if for whatever reason, you know, they can't find the body or something silly like that or whatever. But what if Laurie, because let me just pull this back up because she's looking pretty damn happy-go-lucky. Like, what if like she finally like comes through a lot of this obsession and stuff like that, you know, for whatever reason, whether she thinks he's dead or, you know, he's just been missing all these years, whatever it may be, they'll have to explain that. But David Gordon Green, they knew that they were going to have that time jump, you know, that's why like in the extended cut, they changed the ending, you know, and so forth. So they must have some, I would think at least half decent explanation of what's happened in those 4 years. Because, I mean, think about it. That's the ultimate question. What's Michael been doing for 4 years? I think anyone would ask that question, like even a kid. So they've got to have at least some half decent, I would think better than that, reason, you know, for what's been going on in those 4 years. What has Michael been doing? Where has he been? We know that the working title of the movie is Cave Dweller. So, you know, I mean, you can obviously think of some different scenarios, like you were saying, Jake. Maybe the sewers, maybe a cave, maybe there's someone else who's pretty nuts that's harboring him or something. I mean, I don't know if I'd want to go down that road, but I'm just saying there's got to be some type of explanation about where he is.
Also, think about a kill scene in the sewer. I'm sorry, guys. I can't get off of Michael Myers like biting into a rat in the sewer. Like, it's just so
the sewer train.
He's obsessed with rat. That's all it is.
Stu coming back in Scream 6? Nah, fam. Michael Myers in a sewer for Halloween Ends, baby. Let's get it. Sewer Michael.
That's
hashtag sewer train. Get on the
right.
No one would want to, like, if I tried to pitch that to people and I'm like, get on the sewer train, no one would want to do that.
Yeah. They'd be like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, what the hell?
Get away from me, Jake.
Yeah, right. I'm scared. I'm uncomfortable. No.
Oh, Lord.
I don't know. I just think that there's a lot that needs to happen. And that's why I don't want to just immediately praise this film as like it's going to be fantastic because there's just.
Oh, I still think it's going to be my least favorite of the trilogy.
Really? So you're not that far removed from my thinking. I just
I mean, that's my thing with trilogies though. I never like the ending more than I like the journey. That's just my personal opinion. Whenever something concludes, it's always like, damn, I want more, you know, and that's always like my least favorite. The only thing that breaks that rule for me personally is Return of the King and the Lord of the Rings.
I was gonna
trilogy.
say that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Return of the King is so good.
Man.
Oh, fuck.
Yes.
I love those movies. So
to plug in my favorite show, Supernatural, at the end of season 5, there's a dialogue that if you haven't seen it, you guys should see it because it's so true. Like it can't be true. They're basically there's the writer, the prophet guy is basically writing up like endings, and he's like, endings are hard. You never get anything right. There's always holes. People are always complaining about things that don't make sense. And he has like this whole monologue, and it's actually really great because it's true. Like there's no such thing as a perfect ending. There's always a hole or two or something that you can find to just complain about. And I agree that I think that this won't be a perfect ending. Does it have potential to be about as perfect as you can get with what's happening? Of course. But at the same time, I just think that they painted themselves into an unnecessary corner. I think that they could have made this so much more easier and more fluid. And maybe that's the point. Maybe they wanted it to be challenging and they wanted to come up with some creativity and just do something so out of the box.
Right.
And I understand that. And if it hits, it hits. Great. I appreciate it. I've always said I enjoy when people take chances in film, even if I don't like it.
Me too.
Halloween Kills, as much as I didn't like Halloween Kills, I respect them taking that chance. It just didn't hit for me. I just didn't like it. But I appreciate them, taking that jump. And so I can see the same thing happening with Halloween Ends. But I just think based on the first two films we got, there was such an easy transition that they could have done. And they went the complete opposite. And that's my concern.
Well, let me compare this once again to the Lord of the Rings franchise. I'm sorry. I don't know why I'm trying to do this so much. And Knight, I'm sorry. I will let you go next because I feel like I'm talking a lot. But did you guys? So I love the Lord of the Rings movies. I love all three of them. They are nearly flawless in my opinion. Yes. But then you go to the Hobbit trilogy. And they're good movies. They're good. But you could have done that story in 2 movies. Easily. Like, I think it's just not enough source material for them to span over 3 really long movies.
So
that
it's
last
film trilogy.
Well, that's what I was going to get at. I'm saying if they did one night, if all 3 movies span over just the Halloween night in 2018, it's going to get like, wow, they spread this thin, man. So I think, honestly, the best move they could have went with to do a trilogy was to flash forward 4 years, because now you got a fresh start with this new film, kind of. Like, you have things, like, all those things happened, but they affect our characters 4 years later in a new story, kind of. Although it's also the concluding chapter of this trilogy.
Why not do that between Halloween 18 and Kills? Because then you have the tail end. I think it would have been much more fluid. You could have had 18. You had Michael.
They wanted to finish the Laurie Strode story. That's why.
Yes, but you still could have done that because Laurie still would have been hiding. She would have been in the wings. She would have been prepared. She could have known Michael escaped, and she's just kind of waiting. They could have had Michael had a couple kills, do all this stuff, kind of get to a place to where he can, cave dwell or sewer Michael or whatever.
Sewer hop.
That, and then he comes out of hiding and just goes to town on the people of Haddonfield. Halloween Kills, and then Halloween Ends picks up perfectly after that. I mean, you could have even just had a year gap between Halloween 18s and Halloween Kills, and it would have been a much more fluid story. The problem is you had Halloween 18 and Halloween Kills all in one night, which is my big problem. Like I said, I don't think Halloween Kills needed to be a movie. I think you could have just made 2 movies. But if they wanted to do the trilogy, I feel like personally they did this backwards. They should have had Kills and Ends all be one night, and 18 is the establishment film. 18 is the one that puts it all together. You have like a year or whatever, maybe 6 months, whatever the case may be, before Michael makes it to Haddonfield. You could have had, a H2O thing where he's killing people on the way.
Hi, Carrie.
Hi, Carrie.
You could have had that where, he's killing people along the way on his journey to Haddonfield, all that stuff. Laurie hears about Michael escape. She's getting prepared. She's all paranoid. You could have established and done the same exact thing more fluidly. Then you had Michael show up and kills, boom, and then that transitions into Ends.
Unless they've got a kick-ass idea for this.
Maybe they do. Maybe they do. Maybe they have
this could be a type of movie, and to both of you guys' point, they have tried to do some different things.
Yeah.
And I know I've said this before, but I just want to say it again, because going through the whole franchise, it was fun, but it was a task, because there was some sequels that were really rough. I'm looking at you, Resurrection. I'm looking at you, Rob Zombie Halloween 2, and Curse of Michael Myers.
Yeah.
But for all we know, maybe in this one, it's a 4-year gap, and Laurie Strode I know I've said this before, and it may not happen. It probably won't happen. It's more of a wish, I guess. But what if Laurie Strode is depicted more like she was depicted in '78 Halloween? Like obviously she's not that age. I get that, but I'm just saying more of a optimistic type of character. I would love if she has to die. I would love to see her at least to some degree happy. So maybe this 4-year jump is so that she can have some healing, so it can set up a little bit of weight so that Jamie Lee can have some nice scenes, some nice dialogue, her natural charisma. She is the franchise. We know that. And this is her way. This is their way of saying, you know what? 50 years going on. Thank you so much for being a part of this franchise so many times. And we're going to give you a nice, meaty role to end you out. You're going to die, but this is how we're going to send you out like a champ. But in order to do that, we want you to have, that range. You can't just be grumpy and obsessed with Michael, because there's not a lot of wiggle room there. You know what I'm saying? So what if that's the reason for the time jump?
Because I just hate that though, because what they established, if they didn't
Knight, everything you just said, no.
Knight, you suck.
Knight. So Knight won't be here next week either. It's just gonna be me.
Just gonna be fate decided.
I know, like every week one of us are getting like canceled.
It's just gonna. Welcome to Fate Decided 2.0. I'm your host, Fate.
Fate Collective.
Welcome to Lethal Decided.
No, but on a serious note, no. Here's the thing. I love the idea if they didn't establish what they established already, because they built Laurie up as this obsessed person, and Michael could care less, and she is sort of the driving force for all of this. And then you had it set up, and you kind of almost removed her from Halloween Kills in most of the way, and for most of the film. She just had some dialogue here and there, which I understand. She needed to recover. But so now you have what? Now you have her getting married. You have her just say, F it. We already went through all this. I lost. And it's not her character right now. If they would have established it in that direction, and then we got this, I could see it. If let's say Michael really was after her and she wasn't obsessed, and Michael was, she was the driving force and whatever. And they ended up having a fight. Michael disappears. I could see Laurie saying, like, maybe he's gone. Maybe that's it. And then you could have that establishment. But you centered your first two films around Laurie just being overly obsessed with Michael to just say, we're going to fast forward 4 years and she doesn't feel that way anymore. Like, I
wouldn't want her to just. Now, of course, I'm not thinking that. There's going to be 4 years later. She's like, yeah, life is good. I'm dancing and singing and eating ice cream.
Married and stuff.
They got to do it the right way.
Got an OnlyFans.
Something similar to like Jesus. Something maybe similar to like what they did with Sydney in Scream 3. Just trying to deal with her trauma by helping other people out. I'm not saying that's what Laurie's going to do, but I'm saying written in a way where you see that she is recovering. And I don't think she'll ever be like, sunshine and rainbows, but I think that there's definitely growth, or I think there's growth for her to become more positive than she was in these first two movies. Like maybe she realizes that her obsession has brought down so many bad things on her family, and maybe she starts to process that. I don't know. I'm just,
but even Allison has been set up for this obsession now too.
Exactly. And so now what if the tables are turned? Because in 2018, the grandmother was obsessed and Allison was whoa. And she said, grandmother, you've got to let the boogeyman go. Halloween Kills. It's kind of like, okay, everybody's trying to do something. Halloween ends, flip the table. And now Allison is the one that's obsessed. She's the one that's training in the dojo and so forth. And Laurie Strode is like, I don't want to lose you like I lost Karen. He's ascended, blah, 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 blah. If this happens, we're having a party. and I get the credit. No, I'm just joking.
Okay.
But I'm just
dude,
saying,
that's
you know?
awesome.
But
I love that, honestly. That's fucking
But
sweet.
here's my problem with that idea. It's dumb. No, I'm just joking. No,
That's
I'm gonna
stupid.
use that as a
No.
clip.
no, but it is a great idea. It is a great idea.
I'm just
But
kidding.
here's
I'm
my
so
issue
mean.
with it. Is that, again, is Lori really going to just let anyone excited for the Collective movie? I know. But the problem
Thanks, Jake.
is that Knight's voice is like, he does. He has the greatest voice ever.
Yes.
That's the only reason I'm leaving him on this Collective. Jake's gone next week. But, no, but
my voice just
oh
isn't
my
as smooth.
Jake's voice sucks.
God.
But
I
no,
like your voice, Jake. I like your voice.
we already, unfortunately, you missed the Scream 6 talk. We had that the first like 40 minutes. But
Yeah.
I do like the idea. But here's the problem: is Allison's obsession. Like she's gotten to this point. I don't see Lori just like I could see Lori being like you said, like, hey, I don't want to lose you. I don't want to this and that and this and that. But I don't think Allison is clearly became more and more obsessed along the way. She has became Lori. And yes, Lori might see like, this is what I became. This is what she turned into because of me. She's not going to let Allison just go off on her own. Like if she can't convince her, then, you know, and that's my thing. Allison's training, Lori's got to be the one to train her. So yes, she might be saying
that might come in the story. Maybe that'll happen, you know, halfway through. I'm not talking about. Obviously, Laurie has to battle Michael. That's got to happen.
Yeah.
So, in order to do that, she's going to have to give in to the dark side. You know, so she's going to have to kind of travel back down that road that she was on in 2018 and Kills. But what if?
Hang on, I'm really wet. Hang on. Let me, God damn. Sorry.
He got a little excited talking about Halloween, guys.
What if in the first half of the movie, you know, she's trying to be, you know, whatever, less pessimistic in life, and whatever that means. It doesn't mean that she's going to be singing songs, but just kind of starting to let go of a little bit of that, and maybe something happens, or Allison, you know, they find out where Michael is, and Allison's like, yes, we got to get him. Evil's still going to die tonight, whatever. And somehow Lori gets dragged back into it, either by her own wanting to protect her granddaughter or whatever. I could definitely see that being plausible.
I could also see that being the reason Lori dies early, because she doesn't want Allison.
They better not, dude. No.
Yes, because she doesn't want Allison to get involved. And Michael, let's say Michael comes out of hiding. What you think, Lori? I could see Lori saying like, "I need to go take on Michael," and she goes to go take on Michael, and Michael ends up killing her, and that's why Allison gets involved. I mean, seriously.
Yeah, like
if you like his idea, you have to take all sides of it. That is a very real.
I agree.
See? Or do you think it's stupid? Like I said,
Faith's like, are you with him or with you with me?
Make up your mind, Jake. This is
Who do you love more?
Next week.
Pick a parent. No, I'm sorry. That's horrible. I shouldn't be joking about that. But seriously, okay, here's what I like about that, though. She hears Michael is out of hiding and like reawakens something inside of her. I don't think she just goes and gets murdered like immediately. We saw in Halloween 2018, Laurie Strode finding out Michael Myers is running around Haddonfield again, and she didn't just die immediately. She fights Michael in the third act. You know, I think the same thing happens here, but it's way different this time around because Laurie Strode has gone through therapy. It's a theory right now. I'm not 100% sure. She does look like she's recovered, though. Not just physically, but mentally from everything that's happened in the past, like, 40 some years or whatever.
Yeah, but we're going off of promo shots. Like, they're not scenes.
Yeah, you're right.
It's
a theory. It's just a theory.
You know what I mean? Like that's my only concern. And you know,
we could be totally wrong. That's, I think, the most interesting thing about all this. She could still be same old Lori from the past couple movies. Yeah. I also think it would be a little more interesting, though, to see character development with her. That's the biggest thing that I want to see in this new film, is like her going from that like super obsessive, scary character, not scary, but like super scared of the world and being paranoid, being recluse and sheltered and all that. And then she goes to a totally different character by the end of this trilogy. I even was talking about how I think she's going to be like a Christ figure, which what that means in literature. I keep explaining this every single time we live stream, but like it's really interesting to me. And if I just say that Christ figure, people think I'm talking about Jesus. No, in literature, that means someone who has a rise, a fall, and a comeback. And I think this movie's going to be the Laurie Strode comeback, where she ultimately takes down Michael Myers for the first time. Now you can't have a comeback without some kind of insight. There's an Einstein quote about persistence without insight is just going to result in the same exact thing or whatever. I'm paraphrasing, but I think that's what's happening here. Is she has had this time to recover and has had this time to be a little more calm and collected, and then she goes and takes down Michael finally for the first time in all these damn movies. Michael dies. I want it to happen.
Evil dies tonight.
Evil dies in 4 more years.
Evil dies tonight. Again. I don't know. Like I said, to kind of wrap it up, because I think this is a
let's
good
wrap it.
point to end. Is
Yes.
I just think I hope this is good. I hope this gets sort of things back on track. I have my concerns. I have my reservations. Just like I said about Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I felt like they could have made such an easier route for these 3 films, and they didn't. Now, if it hits, then all the praise to them. But the problem is that usually it doesn't. Like usually when they take such huge out of the box, it goes one of 2 ways. And I would love for that. I think that this is Jake bringing out his Book of Mormon.
The Book of Mormon. Oh man.
Fate and I are my dads. We are.
Hey, well,
I was waiting for someone to read that.
We alter Jake every other weekend.
Luck already said we got a TV show, My Two Dads, starring Killjoy Jake, The Night Watch Zone, and Fate Decided.
Exactly.
Oh,
I'm the
God.
stern, tough dad, and Night is the sweet, calm, peaceful father. I'm telling you, one day we're gonna have a Lethal Collective film. I'm telling you, it's gonna be a comedy. Apparently,
it's nothing to do with horror at all.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Everyone's gonna think
and that would be the catch.
Everyone's gonna think it's the greatest horror movie ever. We should title it that: the greatest horror movie never made.
Everyone's just expecting like this gore fest, and no, it's just us talking.
It's gonna be like a musical or something.
Yeah, it's just and not a good musical. I can see Fate being one of. I am my dad.
Jake, we're gonna have a talk.
Over here, like
sit
Jake,
at the dinner table with me.
Jake, there's some things we have to discuss.
Sit on Daddy's lap.
You're becoming a man, Jake. Kind of.
Oh man.
I'm gonna tell you about the birds and the bees, Jake. Jesus. Okay.
Let me explain to you the rules of horror.
Oh man.
You can never have sex. That's it.
And for High Flying, he said was a little let down. We didn't answer questions from subs on the stream. We tried to touch upon some.
Throughout.
Yeah.
We did throughout. I mean, especially during the Scream 6 thing and in between. We definitely did that. We try to incorporate it as much as we can, but it's hard too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're on rants, we're having conversations. It's different when we're just doing independent live streams, because it's really just like when I'm doing my live stream, it's just me and you guys.
Right.
Chat. That's it. So
same thing here.
We're all trying to get our points across. We're all trying to, so it's hard, and by the time we get to the comments, we've already moved on to a new topic, and it's like we can't just go back. So we try to.
And as you guys can tell, we can literally talk for a couple hours, just like bam, 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 bam.
I can't believe we've been going for almost 2 hours.
Right?
This is crazy. It doesn't feel like it at all.
And we don't even have Steven here, so we can literally go on and on and on. But one thing I do want to throw out to you guys, and I know, for us, Jake and Fate, we've talked a little bit about some different ideas, but maybe at some point we can have a live stream where we do have some time set aside for a Q&A, for the live chat and so forth. And if that's something that you guys in the live chat would like to see, let us know in the comment section. Let us know if that's something that you actually would like to see, because I think that is something that it looks like would be a good idea. And of course, we'd want to do that if it's a good idea. We know you guys like hearing us rant and rave and going on and on about these things, and we like doing that too. But you know, we definitely could set aside some time.
Maybe we can even, you know, like once a month, just do a dedicated chat stream where it's just literally all it is just us talking about, you know, answering questions in the chat, having discussions, whatever. I definitely think there's potential there. You know, believe me, we're always talking about things and trying to correct things behind the scenes. Believe me. You know, we're constantly talking on ways to improve and incorporate everyone. And I mean, that's the goal. You know, this is still only like our like 7th live stream together. You know? Like this is relative. I mean, this is only like the 5th on this channel. So
do you guys want to do that next week? Like do a Q&A? That'd be kind of fun.
Yeah, we can do that.
We could.
Why not?
Yeah.
We can do that.
We don't
let us know. Like I said, let us know in the comments. Let us know what you guys think.
I think
because the 18th we'll probably be talking about TCM. So before week before that, we can do a Q&A. I don't know.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
Yeah. Like I said, dedicate once a month, something like that. You know. I don't know. We'll see. Like I said, let us know in the comments. We'll be talking behind the scenes too about all the stuff. We'll check the comments, see what the consensus is. But
and also for you guys, if you have questions, you know, contact us on social media as well. I mean, I know we talk to a lot of you guys here and there, but definitely let us know your ideas, because we, like Faith said, we're always talking about different ideas. And even though, like you said, this is only whatever the 7th or whatever 8th, you know, time we've gotten together, it feels like it's been a lot more. And I think that's because ultimately we're just having fun. So we definitely want to incorporate, you know, you guys' thoughts as well. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, we the whole reason this started was for all of you, you know, was just to give people a different perspective on us, the creators, you know, because we all realized we had a lot of the same subscribers, you know, and it was like, why not give them, rather than just the plain bagel type, you know, content of us just talking a theory, idea, whatever. You know, give you guys a look into us, because this is what we're doing off camera. So it was like, why not just do it on camera? and that's kind of how this whole thing evolved. Don't start it or fate will explode. That's right. Good answer, Carrie.
Carrie to the rescue.
But yes, but yeah. So any final thoughts, anyone? Any final thoughts?
I'm good, man.
What about you, Jay?
You know, man, I do have a final thought about a Scream 6
thank you all for being here. What is your final thought?
I want Stu to clone himself multiple times, and I want them all to be an army of Ghostface, and that's all we're gonna get in Scream 6. That's all I want.
It'll be like that Star Wars meme where it's like we have like 100,000 of them, and there's more, and then we got another million on the way.
Right.
Yep. Yeah. I want I want Clone Trooper Stews in the new Scream.
If that happened, Craven's head would explode.
I know. You'll probably
he would
retire.
See that meme like they're coming back forever.
You'll probably retire, man. You'll be like, I'm done. This YouTube is over.
And I'd be like, oh, I'm gonna start talking about, I don't know.
Happy
See, like
Friday,
I would be crying laughing if that happens in the theater, though, just because I know what Steven's reaction is going to be to Stu coming back.
That's
like
how I felt watching this.
Yeah,
I was
the whole
waiting.
the whole time I'm like, if Stu shows up, I know I got to call Steven after this. Like I know he's going to just be going nuts. That's the only reason I want it to happen, just to see his reaction. It would just be so funny.
Me just have the I just saw Stu face where I'm like,
yeah.
Yeah. What would that live stream be like? You know, what would that conversation be?
That'd be so funny, man. Oh my god,
that happens. I'm done. I'm done off of you. I'm going in. I'm going.
You're gonna be the cave dweller. You're gonna go into the sewers
there we
with
go.
the rats.
You and Michael can be chomping on some rats, dude.
I'm gonna start an OnlyFans or something. I gotta make money elsewhere. Weren't you fake decided? Nope.
No,
not me.
No. Who's that?
Not me.
Here's my nipple pic.
Oh my
Feet pics. Starting at $5.
Yeah,
wow.
Hey, those are successful. Let's do it. We should have a Lethal Collective OnlyFans. And that'll just be our Patreon. That'll be our Patreon.
But it's on OnlyFans. It's like it's normal content.
There's a lot of people that have done that. Like instead of going to Patreon,
Yeah.
they found
Wow.
yeah, no, I'm dead serious.
It has such a
Even
reputation,
big
though,
people,
man.
even
you know?
Cardi B.
Doesn't it?
Cardi B was one of the first to do that. She started an OnlyFans and like didn't post nudes. It was just like extra behind the scenes content and stuff. Like a lot of people have done
Wow.
that. Instead of doing Patreon, they do OnlyFans. I think that would be more fitting since we're, you know, a horror channel. I think that'd be hilarious.
I think it's one thing though to say you have a Patreon account versus you have an OnlyFans. You know what I mean?
Right?
Like, so
I
can you
know.
imagine?
Where's
Like,
the
hey,
prestige
more
in
guys,
people
that?
might actually subscribe to our OnlyFans.
I mean, that is a point though. That
That's
could be a
what I'm
great
saying.
marketing tactic.
It's all
like,
about
can you
the
imagine
business at the end of the day.
I'm
Can you imagine
telling
at the beginning of like all your videos, you're like, "Hey guys, what's up? Thanks for checking out this video. Make sure to like and subscribe and check out my OnlyFans."
yeah, it's like-
I love
You know what I
that.
mean? It's like, what? That's so weird. But no.
That's too
I'm
funny,
telling you,
man.
great. It'd be wonderful. 4 years
Oh,
later,
boy.
Fate falls in love with the idea of Stu being alive. That would never happen. If that
Oh,
happens,
man.
it's not me. I've been cloned by these guys.
Right?
Just like Stu.
Yeah,
Just like Stu. That's right.
If that happens, they drugged me. That's what happened.
Oh, wow.
Bye,
EMT
Nikki.
in
They gave me
Spain.
a
All
scoop.
right.
Yeah.
Nice.
He's a great dude. I talk to him a lot.
Nice.
Yes.
Awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Oh, but are they really
Yes.
talking about? Yes, absolutely. Yes,
Everything's on the
absolutely.
table.
Yeah, of course. I mean,
We're
Spare
gonna-
no expense.
I'm telling you, I really think more people would pay for our OnlyFans than they would for a Patreon.
For you guys, look, for you guys that are watching this right now, this is literally how his mind works. Because he'll be like, yeah, I do think that's a good idea. And he will talk it through, and you're like, shit, man.
And then
maybe."
everyone's like, "Damn, he's right."
That's
Like,
not a bad
I'm very
idea.
convincing. That's what my girl even tells me. She's like, "You're one of the most convincing people I've ever seen in my life."
Oh
My,
my
God. My childhood friend, he says I can sell water to a fish. He's like,
Oh,
he's like,
God.
that was I was really good at sales. I have to admit.
Oh,
That might actually be my calling. So I could always go back into sales if Stu ever comes back. I'll
Oh Lord.
sell you all on my
Oh, wow.
OnlyFans.
Yeah.
But
All
anyway,
right, guys.
We stopped
so-
talking about horror and everyone's like, okay, peace, bye.
Yeah, like, all right, we're done. We're
Everyone's
done.
like, okay, we're done here.
You guys have lost the touch.
Yeah, what?
Anyways,
Fate wants to do OnlyFans.
They're like, we don't want to see that. But for
Keep
you
your
guys
shirt
in the
on.
chat, thanks for hanging out with us. We really appreciate it. And next week we'll plan to do some Q&A. That'll be awesome. So let us know in the comment section as well. Throw some questions out. Let us know some things you want us to talk about. We'll take a look at that as well. And I guess that's it, guys. So we will see you next time. The collective has spoken. Peace.
Thank you, guys.